Hey, what's going on, everybody? Brimstone here with Mr. Greer.
What is up?
It's about that time for another episode of Truly Inconsequential, where Greer and I debate over who is truly consequential or inconsequential.
Yeah.
So
This is a new format. As you're watching the episode, the chit chat box is going to be a little blank today. We have to do it does stink. We need
makes me so sad.
Yeah, we need our fan interaction. We need our people chiming in. We have to do a recorded episode because scheduling conflicts. Nobody was going to be able to be in the studio on that Wednesday, so we're giving you guys a recorded episode. Hopefully, it is just as fun. Hopefully, you guys can, if you guys get really anxious and really mad at me for whatever my take is, because that seems to be the general theme of these shows, feel free to hop in the comments of the episode. We'll read them and review them over the next next air date, which I believe is. Let me take a look at my calendar. The next time we go live would be the 30th. Wow, the 30th of June. Wow. Almost in July. That's kind of crazy.
Almost in the July.
Actually, you know what I just realized?
What?
I didn't change this. We're going to change this right now. You guys are going to get a little break in the fourth wall right here.
Oh.
Properties. I didn't change this picture. They still think that we're seeing Bucky Barnes right now, but we are not.
Oh, no.
Open. Done. Bam. Look at that.
Boom.
Look
All
at
right.
that. You guys got a little break. We got a little editing action right on the fly. So today's episode is obviously Phoebe from Friends, versus Fez from That 70s Show. And normally we would ask everybody watching, who do you think we should start with, Phoebe or Fez? And who do you think we should start with, Phoebe or Fez?
Listen, do you have any suggestion? Would you like to do one over the other?
I mean, I guess we could. I guess since it's topical and they just, we just saw the reunion recently. We just, had all the fun of the Friends reunion. Why don't we do Phoebe?
Okay, fair enough.
How do you feel about Phoebe?
I'm gonna say that Phoebe is consequential to the story, even though I would love to say she's inconsequential because she is a moron. But the fact is, she really is consequential. You need all 5 of those characters in that situation. Is it 5 or is it 6? I don't know. I mean, her and Joey are kind of like the same character.
Yeah, Phoebe's like the female Joey.
Yeah, so what is it? It's 6 characters. 6 main characters.
It's Chandler, Monica,
Rachel,
Ross,
Phoebe,
Joey. Phoebe.
Yeah,
6.
there we go. So
yeah,
6 characters.
6 characters.
So there you go. I mean, and I loved the show itself. I loved the when they came back and they did the whole. Did you watch that episode yet?
The reunion.
The reunion.
Nah, I didn't. I watched clips. I saw clips of it. It didn't strike me as something that I really wanted to run and go see, because I got
really.
Friends was cool. I don't want to say that I was a Friends diehard. I haven't seen every single episode of the show. I don't know. I'm not a huge. The reunion shows are okay. They don't really get me. You know what I mean? I enjoyed it. I would have rather have seen them do a reunion episode. I feel like I could have a little bit more fun with that, rather than everybody just sitting around a table just BSing about stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I can see what you're saying there, but here, let's get down to the debate, though. What's your take on it? You're taking, consequential or inconsequential?
The problem is I would love to be with you and say how Phoebe is inconsequential to the story, but I really don't have a leg to stand on. You know what I mean? You don't. Each friend in the show Friends has its own purpose, and they have their own importance to the show. Taking one out would drastically change the vibe of the show, change the how all the friends interact with each other. So, no, I think Phoebe is very consequential to the story. I mean, if we're arguing, is she more consequential than any of the other ones? I think she's probably the least consequential of all of the friends.
I agree with that.
But
I will agree with that.
You can't take her out. I don't believe you could take her out.
I don't think you could pluck her out. I think they need her. I think they need that little bit of dopiness, that stupidity to go with the other, character traits of the other characters. And she really is. She brought nothing much to the show other than that stupidity.
But everybody remembers a lot of her ditzy, free spirit kind of personality.
But we had Joey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but Joey
weren't they
was
more
different.
or less the same character?
Well, no, because I think Phoebe was more of like the hippie, like
Okay.
free spirit, like yeah, she was ditzy, but she did have some insightful points to bring up to people. Like, kind of had that really carefree attitude. Joey was more like the guy that you would probably see down at the Jersey Shore, fist pumping in a club somewhere, like, you know.
How you doing?
Exactly, like that's kind of what Joey was. Where like Phoebe, I felt like Phoebe kind of where she, like I said, where she was ditzy and dopey, and you know, dumb blonde is a little harsh, but she kind of had some weird, like, insightfulness to her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and there were plenty of episodes that kind of really, you know, it helped shape the future of the show and the series. So you can't say that she's inconsequential. I would fight if anybody said she's inconsequential in general. I'd say no. But
well, because if we look, if the theme of the show,
out of the group, that she is the least consequential out of the group.
yes, I will admit that she's probably the least consequential out of the group. I feel like, I mean, you obviously don't have a show without Monica. You need Rachel. If you're taking anybody from the show, if you're making me take somebody from the show, Phoebe is the one that you take.
Take out Gunther.
I totally forgot about Gunther.
Take out Gunther.
Yeah. Was Gunther the guy that worked at the coffee shop?
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's who it is. But
he barely made it to the Friends reunion. By the way, they had him on via video, and he looked like so thrilled to be there, but like uncomfortable because
you know, the conversation actually. Now that I think about it, now we are doing Phoebe and Fez, and that's not wavering right now.
Yeah.
But the conversation really probably should have been who's more consequential, Phoebe or Ross Geller? Because I don't know if there is a more hated character in the Friends universe than Ross Geller. Everybody hates Ross. Every single person.
Red Ross
hates Ross. It's crazy.
But they love him. They love to hate him. Maybe. Why do you say they hate him?
Because I feel like if anybody, like, if you talk to a casual Friends fan or you talk to somebody that's a diehard on the show,
Right.
if you ask them to pick their least favorite character of the crew, it's gonna 100% of the time be Ross.
Okay.
I can't find anybody that tells me that Ross Geller was their favorite character on the show.
No, he's the one whose face annoyed me the most.
And he's just so whiny and a big friggin' baby. Yeah, like, he's the worst.
But you know, at the end of the day, again, you needed the whole 9 yards. You needed all 6 characters in order for it to be a
what are we
whole
gonna do?
show.
Not have Smelly Cat? You don't have Smelly Cat
Right.
without.
But we would have never known about Smelly Cat if she wasn't in it. You
That's
know what
true.
I mean?
That's
the
true.
thing. Like, all the other characters kind of intertwined in one way or the next. Phoebe, I think, is the only one that really didn't intertwine with anybody else. I mean, no, Joey didn't date the others, but Joey was involved with Rachel or was thinking about being involved with Rachel.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Phoebe's the only one that wasn't romantically involved with anybody, I don't believe. Not that I could remember.
Not that I could remember either. I don't think Phoebe was ever romantically involved with any of the other characters.
So, I mean, out of all of them, what do you call it? I'd say that she is the most insignificant out of the group, but in the overall, again, the overall arc, I can't.
No, well, it's just because of the
I
way.
can't in good conscience say that she is inconsequential.
Because I feel like the show Friends was a great show because of how all the characters interacted with each other. You know what I mean? Like, that was the true, like, charm of the show was how each individual character played off each other. Because you're right. Like, Phoebe may not have, like Joey or Chandler may not have, or Ross may not have been fawning after Phoebe or trying to date Phoebe, but that doesn't mean that she didn't have any impactful moments with all of the other characters separately. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
she did in fact, have an impact on the rest of the characters as a whole. You know what I mean?
You know, and she lived with them, and, you know, I mean, there was, like, Rachel moved in with her for a while, and before I think she went back and moved in with Joey.
And she was funny, she was funny in her own way. Yeah, sure. Chandler was great because he had his sarcastic attitude, and that was funny. Joey was just a dopey, like, pervy guy.
Dopey, pervy guy.
Like, Phoebe was just the airhead free spirit that was just nothing but funny almost every single time she opened her mouth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, where sometimes some characters were getting a little bit more serious. Phoebe was there to kind of break the tension and always just be the person to lighten up a mood rather than leave it on a serious note, you know? And I feel like you'd miss that if you took Phoebe out.
Fair enough. So I'm assuming we're going to wind up doing Phoebe as Consequential.
We have to say Phoebe is Consequential.
I mean, that's just, I mean, it would have been nice to get, studio audience here, chiming in on
That's
it.
next week. We'll have a next one on next week. Guys, listen, So what we'll say is if you're watching this right now on the replay, thank you so much. Make sure to like and share this video. All the interaction helps. Hop in the comments. Let us know what you think. We will read them next week. If you want, next week when we go live, give us some of your opinions on how you feel about some of these characters that we're going to be talking about today. We'll let that highlight the front of the show next week. Just
right.
In 2 weeks, just to give it a little bit more shine because we do need the fan interaction. That's the fun part.
Yeah, that is so much fun. Especially last week. Last week was
great. Last week was real great. Daryl Dixon versus Bucky, and I'm wrong, so it's not 2 weeks. Next week, you guys are seeing this show. What's the date of this show?
The 23rd.
The 23rd.
And then the 30th.
We'll be back on the 30th. On the 30th, you guys give us all your opinions on Phoebe and Fez, and we will start the show that way.
So, I guess, look, there's not really much more that we could say about Phoebe. I actually was going into this thinking I was going to say that she was inconsequential, and I'm thinking about it more, and I'm going, there's no way I can argue it, in good conscience. I can't argue that she is inconsequential. She's absolutely consequential. She's just the least consequential in the grouping of all the characters.
Yeah, exactly. Like we keep saying, if we made this conversation truly inconsequential, and we were just talking about the Friends cast. Yeah, Phoebe's the one you could axe, and she's probably the least important of all of them. In my personal opinion,
I agree with you.
The only other person that you could argue with me is Ross. If we were to pit Ross and Phoebe next week against each other, you might be able to sway me, but that's not the conversation.
Well, but see, the thing is with Ross, and I'll throw this in here, just for the sake of conversation. Ross, even though you might have hated the character, he was extremely consequential, and especially to this overall story arc of the show. Even more so in the later days than the earlier days. The later days specifically because they were trying to hide the fact that Monica and Chandler were a thing. So what do you call it? If that was the case, then if they didn't have to hide it from Ross, then it would have completely changed the whole story arc of the show.
True.
The same thing with Rachel. If Rachel didn't wind up getting with Ross, who knows what would happen? Maybe she would have gotten with Joey. Maybe it would have been a different angle altogether.
True.
It would have been a completely different show.
That's true.
So Ross was consequential because he was, you know what I mean?
Because he changed how the characters, and he directly changed how the characters interacted with each other. No, I get that.
Hugely.
I understand.
Hugely.
Ross was just the one that you loved to hate.
Right. But Phoebe was the least amount of, she had the least amount of influence in the way the stories went. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying, like, if you had to toss one of them, Phoebe would be the one to toss. So we're gonna say that she's consequential or she's consequential with notes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With notes, like she's consequential to the storyline, but overall she's the least consequential in the cast.
Yeah.
So all right, there we go.
That's
Fez. What, let's go to Fez.
Fez, I want to say Fez is absolutely consequential to that 70s show because each person in that 70s show, I don't think there is an inconsequential person to that 70s show because each person sheds a different light of different sex and different types of people that were that grew up in the high school in the 70s. You had Hyde, who was the stoner burnout. You had Eric, who was the sheltered good kid that was raised by strict parents and stuff like that.
Right.
You had Donna, kind of sort of the middle ground, the rebellious kind of rebellious girlfriend who's going through some family troubles at home, the whole divorce. You had Kelso, who was the big popular meathead that just got by on his looks. Jackie, the rich girl, the rich everybody.
She was rich. I didn't realize
she was
that.
Rich. Silver spoon in her mouth. Was born on third base. Kind of girl.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had Fez, who was the foreign exchange student, who now, look, I don't know if you'd get away with a lot of this nowadays, showed you just how, in a funny way, showed you in a funny comedic way, like the treatment of foreigners, I guess you could say, back in the 70s, so
Right.
they all had their own important group of people that they were representing on the show.
Right.
That I think if you took them out, it would hurt what you were trying to show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it would absolutely hurt. No, actually, all right. I'm gonna go against you. I have to, especially for the sake of the show. We can't have two consequentials. Again. Well, we could, but at the end of the day,
eventually we're gonna have to argue which one's more consequential than the other.
This is true. Honestly, Fez, I think, is truly inconsequential. I feel that the only thing he added to the entire show is the fact that he was always trying to get into some girl's pants. That was it. That was the only thing that he brought.
Is
to
Quagmire
the show.
Consequential to Family Guy? Because that's all he does.
And again, I don't think he is. But Quagmire is also Quagmire also does it. I mean, he gets the girls. And Fez does not.
Yeah, but that's the gimmick. That's the joke. The same way Quagmire's a man whore. Fez is
trying to be.
Fez is trying to be. He fails up until the last couple of seasons, but
did he get some in the last couple of seasons?
He absolutely does. Yeah, Fez. I don't remember what season Fez gets laid. Fez gets laid when he starts working at the DMV. His boss Nina, they sleep together. And then in what is absolutely, guys, if you want like some of the worst TV, it's the last season of that 70s show. That is what's truly consequential is the season where Eric leaves for Africa, because in this whole scheme of things, towards the end of that 70s show, they break up Hyde and Jackie. Jackie gets with Fez. This whole thing just falls apart.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Jackie gets with Fez in the end.
What?
Yep, they live together. They move into an apartment together. Like it's I believe it's Jackie, Fez. I believe they have a third roommate. No, but I think it might just be Jackie and Fez. But they get together towards the end of the show.
But why doesn't anybody want to have sex with him? I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess in Wisconsin they didn't like foreigners very much. But no,
wow.
So I think Fez is important to the show because he just he's that character. He's the character showing you what the foreign exchange student in a 70s, Wisconsin high school would be like. That's what his life was, because that's what I'm pretty sure he literally is a foreign exchange student. Like he came from some country that they never name in the show and is living with super duper strict Christian parents who are almost missionaries trying to I guess save his soul. And that's who Fez is throughout the entire show. You know what I mean?
I understand where you're coming from. I still think that he is absolutely inconsequential. I think that the whole show, essentially, there were little tidbits of these other characters. They all came kind of through. But the show is about Eric and his family and Eric and his girlfriend and so forth, except for, you said, the last season where he was like, all right, well, I want more money.
So then so then what you're saying is nobody's consequential other than Eric and Donna?
No, there's supporting cast, but the supporting cast that was consequential was your Hyde and your Donna and your, what do you call it? What's the one that I can't stand?
Jackie.
No, I like Jackie.
Kelso.
You know what I mean? I think that all of them, at least have worthwhile interactions.
Yeah, but they were all
with Eric. Fez was just an annoyance.
Fez always had good.
Fez was Urkel.
And is Urkel not consequential to Family Matters?
I swear to God.
Are you really going to tell me that Urkel is not consequential to family?
I can't remember if we did we do Urkel?
No, I could put him on the list if you want.
No, because I think he's consequential. But Kimmy Gibbler was also consequential too, right?
Yeah. So what are you gonna call Fez? You gonna call?
Damn it!
I was gonna say you were the one that argued that Kimmy Gibbler was I said Kimmy Gibbler was inconsequential. You said she was consequential.
Yeah.
Fez was there every episode.
I just screwed myself.
I
screwed myself.
Fez
it's okay.
has an interaction with every single character of the show. There's no way. I just think Fez's character is just too big to be taken out of the show. I don't.
But here's the thing: I don't think So all of
I think they're all consequential, to be honest with you. I don't think there's an inconsequential person to that 70s show. Maybe Seth Green, but
in the grand scheme of things, right? I mean,
maybe Midge.
It could have been any foreign exchange student, right? It really didn't have to be
Well,
Fez itself.
well.
Something I don't know about the show.
Remember how last week I said that literally any survival person could be Daryl Dixon's role, and you said no, Daryl Dixon's still important to the show.
Okay.
You can't just have any. You can't just take any foreign exchange student and slip him into Fez's position.
You can't use all of my things against me. Come on.
Remember,
come
like,
on.
oh, sure, there's plenty other foreign exchange students in Wisconsin. Oh, yeah, you know what else? I'm sure there's plenty other survivalists in the zombie apocalypse.
No, all right, fair enough, but not all those survivalists would have necessarily taken on the role of leader. They wouldn't have necessarily changed their stripes.
I think
like
most of them
like
are.
Daryl did. No, look at
But you
Merle.
But you can't all. You can't.
Well, technically,
also,
Merle changed after.
You
because of
can't
his mother.
also just assume that any foreign exchange student could come in and do the exact same role that Fez was. How do you know we're not just going to get a timid one, or we're not going to get one that's maybe we'll get the one that
He was
that is
timid,
banging
wasn't he?
all. Maybe we'll get one that's just banging all over the place.
Maybe.
You know?
That would have been more interesting than that show, especially that
Would
70s
have been.
show.
I think it's funny that Fez.
Didn't get any?
is a very timid. Is a very timid virgin that just can't get anything.
I don't know why.
That's just trying to make his way. That's trying to be from like some country, some like island country, coming to live in the frickin' in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, or Point Place, Wisconsin.
Our time in Wisconsin together was quite interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like it was probably for 20 minutes to maybe a half. Oh no, it was actually probably about like an hour.
No, it was like a couple of hours.
Was it a
our
couple
Wisconsin.
hours?
That was the one that we slept in.
Yeah, but we didn't sleep there that long.
Yes, we did.
No, we got kicked out. Remember, we got kicked out of the actual terminal part. We had to
Okay.
go walk around the actual airport.
Yeah, we were there for
because-
like 3 hours at least.
Was it 3 hours?
At least.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a long time. It was a long time.
That was a long time. Would have been a cool airport if it was open, but it was closed by the time we got there.
It was ridiculous. Cheeseheads. Love cheeseheads.
Should have got a cheesehead. Should have got a cheesehead.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
But I think that's what. But I think that's what. That's
just like shoulda, woulda, coulda had a better character than Fez.
Yeah. Look. Again, I think all the characters are consequential. Again, it's a similar conversation to what we were having with Friends. If we were arguing who's more consequential in the Fez, Hyde, Kelso, Jackie.
Well, Fez is
Donna.
the least consequential. If you can not tell
Probably.
me that he is more consequential than any of the other characters.
No, that. Yeah, you could probably get me on that, but as a
he
whole,
doesn't add anything. That's the thing is he doesn't.
But he
add
does.
anything.
But he does add something. He adds something because it shows you. Again, it shows you the in a comedic way. Again, in a comedic way. I'm not really
in the
promoting this.
storyline, Tom. In the storyline, does it or does it not? Does he have anything to do with changing the trajectory of the show and the characters within? That's what I need to know before I can go in any other direction.
I would say absolutely. I think Fez is an absolute integral part to the fabric of the way each character interacts with each other. Like, I mean, is he more consequential than Hyde? Probably not, because Hyde is the rebellious one that kind of gets Eric to be a little bit more rebellious and stuff like that. But I mean, if
So
we're gonna,
he
what would Kelso do more than what Fez did?
Hold on. So Eric what do you call it? Hyde pushed and made Eric a different person and made Eric a or helped push Eric in a direction. Kelso was the horn dog aside from Fez.
So was Fez though.
But aside from Fez, he was the one that he would push it onto Eric, right? And wasn't he always asking like if he was getting it on with what's her face or
No, well they all were, but that was the common theme was always asking about like hooking up and stuff like that. They all
Right.
kind of sort of filled the same role. It's just they all kind of sort of had like different personalities. Like they all like it's literally like if you were to sit down and have a conversation with all of your friends in a circle, and oh by the way they smoked pot, like that's basically what the show was. Like they all literally just sat down, talked about conspiracy theories, talked about banging people, talked about trying to get beer and drinking and getting messed up and stuff like that, getting into some sort of hijinks. They all, for the most part, did that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But they all brought their own different point of views to the show itself, and that's like I said, that's what's amazing about it. They all had their own. They were all a part of their own cliques, and they all came together.
So for
A merry band of misfits.
Okay. So for the sake of the fact that I have no clue about, like most of that 70s show, like I'm not a fan of that 70s show. I'm going to have to concede simply because like I I don't know enough. But honestly, everything that I have seen, it made no sense for him to be there. It was like he was either the butt of the jokes, which I guess that makes you somewhat consequential. But at the end of the day, like it was just like the butt of the jokes.
He's
and
like
he was not a real character.
He was a part like other than that, you had a crazy just white bread cast from the middle of Wisconsin, and then you took Fez, who was this foreign character, and you just kind of threw him in the mix and seeing how he would interact with everybody, being the lone outsider to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that helped kind of throw everybody off a little bit and change the group dynamic. That's what I thought was fun about Fez. I thought Fez was pretty consequential.
So I'll concede. I really wish I would have had people help me on this one.
It's okay.
Because I know some
week.
of the fans would have had something to say about this.
Oh yeah, totally, guys. And again, if you have anything to say about this, let us know. Hop in the comments, leave comments under the video, share the video, and then also if you want to say, definitely put them in the bottom of the video, but also you can come back next week and let us know what you think about these two characters, and we'd love to hear from you about it.
Now, my next question, I guess, would be, how much time do we have to discuss?
We have 4 minutes.
Okay, 4 minutes to discuss who's more consequential.
Yes,
Phoebe's more consequential than Fez.
Why do you think so?
Because I think that Phoebe did more to the trajectory of the actual show Friends than Fez actually did in that.
But in what
show.
way?
In very minimal ways. I mean, there are things that Phoebe did that kind of. Phoebe was there. Phoebe was a part of a good portion of the big things that happened on that show. Fez was just, there wasn't anything big that happened on that 70s show. It was all it was just a couple of people sitting around, like you said, smoking weed, talking about getting laid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all it really was.
But I think it's also.
Did they ever do? And I'm sorry to cut you off. Did they ever do any background stories on Fez? Did they show where he came
No, that
from?
was the thing. Was they never did that. They always left it up to interpretation, or they always made it kind of a mystery of where Fez came from, what his last name is. I don't even think they say it. I don't even think they say it in the end of the show. But
with Phoebe, I mean, they went all the way back. They found her. She found her mother. What do you call it? She found out, where she came from. She had a twin sister. You know what I mean? She, there were so many moments where she ran the show. You know what I'm saying? Even though she was the least consequential in the cast, doesn't mean that she was inconsequential overall. So,
Okay.
I mean, you're talking about Consuela Banana Hammock, you know what I mean? She was consequential. I mean, she was with Ant-Man, for God's sakes. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
In my opinion, she's more essential and consequential in the Marvel universe than your Winter Soldier.
I think Fez is a little bit more consequential because, again, I think that 70s show was an awesome representation. Again, wasn't alive in the 70s, couldn't tell you what happened in the 70s, but I think it was an awesome sitcom representation of what life was like in the 70s for some people that lived up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin,
right.
Went to high school, and you got to see how all of these characters from different backgrounds kind of sort of would get together, and
right.
kind of interact. I think Fez was an integral part of that because he showed you what life would be like in a Midwestern town,
right,
in the middle of the cold, where it's literally just, for the most part, nothing but white people, and you just threw them in, and you gave somebody else a face that not necessarily wouldn't have been there, and kind of changed the interactions that all the other characters would have had. I think it would have been different if you took him out.
And I could tell you how many shits I give about that character on less than one hand. You know what
That's
I'm
fair.
saying? You could say that all day long. The fact of the matter is everybody in the world knows Smelly Cat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody knows Smelly Cat. What did Fez? What was Fez's big thing? What was his? I don't even know. I know who Fez is, but there's.
I said good day.
Oh, that's his thing.
Yeah.
Good day. I said good day. I remember that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, over Smelly Cat, I don't think so. We got to go grand pop culture in this, because otherwise we're not gonna be able to.
That's true.
It's gonna be a volley. Or how about we do this? We'll do something different since we don't have a live audience. Okay, we're going to go with the fact that they were both consequential. All right. However, next week when we do the live, we will go to our live audience and we will deem who is consequential over these two characters with our live audience.
I think that is a great way to end it. I would also say if you guys have any opinions on who you think is more consequential, leave it in the comments. That'll be a part of the conversation next week.
Yes.
It'll be a part of how we make the decision next week. Let us know what you think.
Tune in.
I am still in the camp that Fez is more consequential than Phoebe. Brim is saying Phoebe is more consequential than Fez. What do you guys think? Let us know. Hop in the comments. Again, share the video. That is so unbelievably important because all the interactions help push us through the algorithm, help more people see us, and help more people join these debates because they're just always, they're just a lot of fun.
Well, you just said it, but Greer, as always,
rate, review, subscribe.
We'll be hanging again with you next week. Stay consequential.